What if I told you the myth of the lone genius entrepreneur is the very thing killing your startup? Seriously, that whole idea of a single brilliant moment isn't just wrong, it's dangerous. But what if there was a recipe, a proven step-by-step process to turn all that chaos into a real company? Well, stick around because by the end of this, you're going to have the 24-step MIT framework that has launched thousands of successful businesses.
Okay, so let's get right into it. This is the big question, isn't it? Do you have to be some kind of special genius, born with a reality distortion field like Steve Jobs? Or is building a company a skill, a discipline that you can actually learn, practice, and get really good at? Well, MIT has a pretty definitive answer on this one, and the data is just staggering. As of 2006, their alumni have founded over 25,000 companies. Those companies employ 3 million people and generate $2 trillion in annual revenue. That's not magic. It's a method. So, here's our game plan for the next few minutes. First, we're going to shatter that myth of startup chaos. Then, I'll walk you through the 24-step framework that replaces it. We'll look at the logic behind it, see it in action with a real company, and then I'll leave you with 3 powerful steps you can take the second this is over.
You know, the biggest myth is that entrepreneurship is supposed to be this wild, seat-of-your-pants ride into the unknown. But that passion and chaos, when it's not channeled, that's exactly what causes most new ventures to run right out of money, focus, and time.
And here's what's so interesting. The author, Bill Aulet, he's not saying chaos is bad. He totally gets it. He's saying because it's so chaotic, you desperately need a framework. This isn't about getting rid of risk. It's about wrestling that risk to the ground by focusing on the things you can actually control.
And the biggest trap he sees entrepreneurs fall into is what he calls the China syndrome. You've probably heard this before. It's that idea that, hey, if we can just get 0.1% of a massive market, we'll be rich. It's a fun idea for a spreadsheet, but it completely ignores the most important question. Why would even one person buy your thing? It's a total fantasy of scale without any foundation of actual value.
So, how do you escape that trap? This is it. This is the core of the book, a 24-step roadmap that gives you a clear path forward, taking you from a fuzzy idea to a real, scalable business.
The real genius of this framework is its logic. It totally flips the script. You stop obsessing over your product and you start obsessing over your customer. It's a process that's literally designed to systematically kill risk by making you prove step by step that someone out there will actually pay for what you're building.
Okay, so 24 steps sounds like a lot, right? A little overwhelming. But here's the secret. You don't tackle them as a random to-do list. They're actually grouped into 6 core themes that build on each other, turning a vague idea into a solid business. And just look at the logic here. Look at this flow. Everything, and I mean everything, starts with the customer. Who are they? What do they actually need? You only move on to making money and scaling after you've nailed that down. And notice the most shocking part. How do you design and build your product? That's theme 5. Most founders start there. This framework forces you to wait, and that is the discipline. Now, there's a critical concept you have to grasp. It's called the Beachhead Market. Think about D-Day. The Allies didn't try to invade all of Europe at once. No way. They focused all their resources on dominating one single beachhead, Normandy. For a startup, this means finding one small, specific market you can win, set up a stronghold, and then use that as a base to attack bigger markets later.
Okay, theory's great, but let's make this real. Let's take a look at how the author himself applied this exact framework to his own company, Sensible Technologies. So at first, Sensatiable was the poster child for chaos. They had this incredible technology, a device that lets you actually feel virtual objects. And just look at this list of markets they brainstormed. It's all over the place. Medical surgery, video games, industrial design, all the way to fixing space stations, and yes, even pornography. This is a classic case of a solution desperately looking for a problem.
But then they got disciplined. They stopped chasing every shiny object and did the hard work. Out of all that noise, they selected one beachhead market where they could solve a painful, specific problem. And that was industrial designers in the toy and footwear industries who just wanted to sculpt 3D shapes on a computer as easily as they could with physical clay. See? Focus.
And check this out. They went even deeper. They didn't just define a market. They defined a single person. They created a persona. So, meet Ed Champ. He's the sculpting manager at Hasbro. They knew his age, his title, and most importantly, his priorities and his fears. His number 1 priority? Getting products to market faster. And what does he fear most? Putting out a product he thinks is crap. This level of detail guides every single decision you make, from product features to your marketing.
Okay, this is where it gets real for you. You don't need to tackle all 24 steps at once. You can start right now. Here are the first 3 things you absolutely must do.
First, pick one, just one, Beachhead Market. You have to resist that temptation to be everything to everyone. Find a small group of potential customers who have a very specific, urgent problem that you can solve better than anyone else. You have to go narrow to eventually go big.
Second, inside that beachhead, create one persona. And don't just guess. Get out there and talk to a real, living, breathing human being. Interview them until you understand their world better than they do. What are their goals? What keeps them up at night? Make them real.
And third, quantify one value proposition. Don't just say your solution is better or easier, be specific. Calculate, in hard numbers, how you make your persona's life better. Does it save them 10 hours a week? Does it increase their revenue by 15%? Prove the value in terms they absolutely cannot ignore.
So there you have it. You now have the antidote to startup chaos. It's not about some magical idea. It's about a disciplined process. The entire path is laid out right in front of you. The only question left is, where will you begin?